Awesome. Welcome, everybody. We are going to get started with the Fruition Local Food Showcase in just 1 minute. Hello, everybody. So glad that you've joined us. My name is Flip, and you have tuned in to the final Fruition Local Food Showcase of 2021. We started these programs in May, and we've done one once a month. So far, we've heard from over 24 different businesses around St. Lawrence County, which is pretty exciting. As with all of our other programs, tonight we're going to feature 3 different businesses. We'll get to hear from each of them one-on-one, and then we have the opportunity to see photos from their farm and business, and also we'll throw in some prizes there, so that's pretty cool. You may have someone that you tuned in for specifically, or maybe you just wanted to come along for the ride, but either way, we have the hour program, and each of the interviews is 15 minutes apiece. So first up, we'll hear from Andy and Elisha Hurlbut at Hurlbut's Maple here in Canton. Then we'll roll over and check in with John Bonaparte of Barebones Farm in Bombay, and we'll close out the program hearing from Jon LeClair of Hoof and Horn Butcher and Eatery in Potsdam. If you haven't heard, the newest downtown Potsdam business. So while I have your attention, there's a couple things I'd love to share with you. So you know we've got some great things that we've been up to this summer and throughout the fall and the growing season. In addition to the Fruition Local Food Showcases, we've got some good programs coming up. My computer's acting a little goofy. There we go. So tomorrow night, in case you haven't heard, we do live online classes in the Harvest Kitchen, and we're welcoming Rose Revezi from Big Spoon Kitchen. So she's going to use local fruit and local eggs and whip up some fruit curds and also a rich shortbread crust for a bar. So if you want to tune into that, that's great. Then also we have our registration open. We work in the Ag and Food Systems Department directly with farm and food producers throughout the year on their one-on-one needs to improve their businesses. And this winter, we have a learning opportunity in January, February, and March, where folks can sign up for one of the 4 tracks of their choice and personalize their own learning. So I just want to mention that you can find that stuff on our website and details about that also online. But those are good opportunities for the farmers and food entrepreneurs in your life. So before we get in with the program, I know you want to learn about the prizes, so I better get Lauren in here, my coworker, so we can learn what those are for tonight. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Flip.
So what have we got for prizes this evening?
Well, for our last showcase of the year here, we have a nice prize giveaway. First off, we're going to give away a quart of maple syrup from Hurlbut's farm. So you can put it on your pancakes, or in my case, I prefer waffles, so that's just my preference. Then we're going to give away a $30 gift certificate to Barebones Farm, so you can get some delicious veggies from them. And then a $25 gift certificate to Hoof and Horn Butchery and Eatery, and you can find a bunch of delicious items there.
Awesome. And I think we've got one cameo prize just from the Learning Farm. If you enjoy any Tell us about that. Tell us about that one. I just sprung it on Lauren, actually.
We're going to give away some nice postcards of the images that we've taken over the past few years of our local farmers and businesses in town. So it's a really nice thing to have and to send to people who are local or maybe not local and want to learn more a little bit about what we do in St. Lawrence County.
Cool. So click on the link that Lauren popped in the chat and sign up so that you'll be in the running for any of the prizes after each of our conversations. See you in a few minutes, Lauren.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
So we have a few questions lined up for each of our guests so you can learn a little bit more about the who, what, when, where, and why of what they do. But if you have any questions, you could type them into the chat at any time or comments. We definitely like to know how folks are liking these programs and is it an effective way to learn more about food systems here in the area and in Northern New York and the folks that are working hard to grow our food. So we're going to get started, but you're welcome to type in the chat at any time. So our first guests, you might have heard of them, the Hurlbut family are mainstays in the Canton community. And so I'd like to welcome them onto the program so we can learn more about the diversified production on their farm. Hello, hello.
How are you, Flip?
I'm good. How are you doing, Andy?
I'm good. Thank you. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, there were some parts of it that were beautiful. Yeah. We'd love to learn more about your family business. Could you tell us about Hurlbut maple products?
So basically, we do, I guess, four main products on our farm. The maple syrup was kind of where we started. Basically, when I was in high school, I started making maple syrup, and we've expanded that to basically be our wintertime sport and early spring sport. We grow quite a bit of commercial corn and soybeans for mostly the dairy industry up here. So that's kind of our main business now, I guess. And we grow a lot of hay for the horse market, and we raise some beef cattle to, I guess, use some of our crops on our farm. So those are kind of our four main businesses that we focus on. Most of the people that are probably watching this are more interested in the maple side of things, so I'll try to talk more about that. My wife and I tap about 6,300 trees. We make about, 3,500 gallons of syrup annually. I guess we're certified organic. We crop about 11 or 1,200 acres of hay and corn and soybeans and raise about 100 head of beef cattle. So that's kind of an overview of what we do on our farm. We're full-time farmers. We don't work at outside jobs or anything. That's pretty much what we do full-time. So that's
So I think it's interesting how your farm is a mix kind of the commodity crops of corn and soy, but also some of the direct market stuff that you might be, a mix of wholesale, retail, and commodity. So how did you get to the mix over the years that you've been going? How did you get to your current products?
Well, so we started with maple syrup, but we also, maple syrup is basically a winter and spring sport. So we, to do it full time, we decided that we should probably diversify a little bit, and we've always done the hay, or for quite a while have done hay, but we got into more of the grains in the last 10 or 12 years. My wife and I both started in, we basically are from this area. We were born and raised here and graduated from Clarkson. We both worked in industry I worked there maybe 8 years, and my wife worked in industry maybe 5 years, and we just slowly grew our farm to a size that we had to make a decision whether we wanted to keep farming or stay in industry. So we decided we chose the farming route. So here we are. Basically, we kind of needed something to do 4 seasons of the year, not just in the spring. So the corn, the soybeans, and the hay kind of keep us busy spring, summer, and fall. And then the corn, or the maple syrup, basically about Christmas time, we start working in the woods, getting tubing and stuff ready for sugaring. And then by February, March, and April, we're busy doing that. So it kind of works well in our crop, I guess, with our other crops. So maple syrup is more of a direct sale type thing. The commodities, the prices fluctuate quite a bit with them, but they've been pretty good to us in the last 8 or 10 years as well. So.
Yeah, so it sounds like you figured out your products and then spread your workload throughout the year and then ramped up portions so you were able to make it full time.
Yeah.
You weren't having to work out.
That's true. Yes, it's a good living. You work hard, and I guess it's a good way to raise a family. Let's put it that way. So
yeah, so I guess going into the family, I remember when we visited your farm, it was a very blustery spring day, and I actually laugh when I look back on the images because it's like a wall of gray sky and everything is like wet and muddy, but your kids were out there having a rollicking good time and they didn't mind that it was cold and windy. And I guess I remember you kind of talking about that, but about that choice of having the opportunity to raise your children. What is it like to raise your children on an active working farm?
Well, 2 of them are old enough now to appreciate it some. One of them, they both help in different capacities, but our son is very interested in the grain side of things. He really enjoys harvesting the crops and helping to get things planted, and he has a lot of interest in just all the equipment we have on the farm. He does help us some with sugaring. I think they're a little bit winter can
young,
be winter's a little cold for them. They do come out and help, but in short stints. So maybe as they get older, their tolerance for the cold weather will keep them outside a little bit longer. But they're still young as well. So they enjoy. They're more in the quality control department. They like to sample product for making it. So
that sounds like me. I grew up on a homestead, and that's about how I feel like my capacity of how good of a job I was doing like really wasn't always the greatest, but I was still out and about. But maybe quality control. I was always a good eater. That's for sure.
That's good. Yes, we all have to eat. So so they do help in those capacities.
Something I remember also from that visit is while you've for the size of your production for your maple, you've moved to the tubing and doing the reverse osmosis system, but that you still throw a few buckets up and getting your kids the chance to see that process and the historical traditional way of collecting maple sap and getting to see it in various incarnations as that industry has evolved.
Yes, it's good for the children. It's good. I guess the community likes to see buckets on the trees in the spring. It's a reminder that spring is actually here. So the kids do gather the 12 or 15 buckets that we put out and help us tap them. So our sugar house is in one location. We have 4 woods that are not in the same location. So they have to ride in a vehicle to get there. And if they're in school, it's kind of hard to get them out there as often as we'd like, but they do like to gather the buckets, and every day they can go out and just see if the sap is running, because some days you think it would run, but it doesn't run. So so as far as our maple goes, we use a lot of technology. We use reverse osmosis. We use basically a vacuum system on our woods to help us get some sap when some days you may not, if you relied on natural gravity system. So we try to be efficient with the resources we have, and that's one way we can become we are efficient that way. So I guess that's and the kids are learning a lot about different technologies by being around it, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like the public to know about maple, or that in terms of that production? I know that yield for many producers has varied quite a bit over the last few years from season to season. Is there anything you'd like folks to know or understand about maple production?
Well, I guess most people around here are familiar with it. We do, we are dependent on the weather, so last year was probably one of the worst years we've had since the ice storm, just because we didn't have those freezing and thawing nights. We had basically we went from winter to spring with no cold weather. So most of the maple producing area had a very short crop last year, but I guess we still have lots of good maple syrup. So what else would the public like to know? I guess just a pitch for maple. It's a very healthy, natural, food ingredient that I can't think of many others that are like it. It's a natural sweetener. It's slower releasing sugar, so there's a lot of benefits to using maple syrup versus cane sugar or corn syrup or some of the others. So I'm not sure what else I can say about it.
Oh, that's good. No, I just wanted to check in with you with that question.
Yeah.
Maybe we should, if you do have beef still for sale, do you want to talk about the Black Angus?
Yep. So we basically have naturally raised Black Angus cattle, and we feed them our own grain. So the feed is pretty much they get our own corn and hay that we grow on our farm, and basically a mineral block that is mostly salt. But they're natural cattle. They're not. We don't use any growth hormones or any of that stuff. I guess we sell it by the half and by the whole animal. We don't do cuts right now because it's just too difficult to deal with all those small pieces. But they can get a hold of us if they're interested. We're booking into like April, May of next year because the slaughter houses are really, just behind, and you need to make appointments well in advance right now. So if people are interested,
what's the best way to get a hold of you if someone is interested in a half or a quarter?
They can get on our email me at andy@hurlbutsmaple.com or call me on my phone or call my wife, and we will make appointments for April or May. So that's the best we can do right now.
So why Black Angus? How did you choose that breed?
Well, when you drive around the countryside, usually if there's a cow that's out, it's a black one. So that's we just thought they were kind of they're more of a commercial animal that when you sell them at the sale, everybody wants the black hide. They pay more for it. So I guess that's really why we decided. But they're supposed to marble better. They're pretty hardy for this area. And basically, the Angus group has done a really good job marketing their brand. Honestly, probably can't tell the difference between an Angus or a Hereford or any of the others if they've been fed the same way. But it's a marketing thing, I guess. So that's how we ended up with the black-hided animals.
So I think we've only got a minute or so left, Andy, but if there's anything else you'd like to add, I'm sort of curious now that you're a few years into it of doing full-time farming, what you find to be the most satisfying part of it for your family running the business.
Well, my wife gets to be the boss and I get to help her. So we've met a lot of great people through Extension and just other members of the community that have helped us along the way, and we're very appreciative of all of our customers. And I guess to give you a pitch for our maple, you can get it at Nature Storehouse or at Tawny in Canton. They sell our maple syrup, and it's they're open a lot of the time. So what your question was, the most rewarding part of it, probably when you're done and cleaned up for each crop of the season. That's the most rewarding part. Then you're done for the year.
That is a satisfying feeling.
So
awesome.
We enjoy the 4 different seasons. We don't have to do the same thing all year. It seems like kind of when you're sick of one crop season, you're into another one. So that's kind of never gets boring. It's always always something new to do in a month or two from now. So keeps life interesting.
New activities all time of year and being your own boss. Those are age-old reasons, and they're still good. They're still really good. Victorian reasons. Well, I really, really appreciate you taking the time, Andy. And Elisha, if folks can't hear her, she's helping him out there on that one. But she said she was not interested in being on camera, but we're glad to hear from you, and we enjoy Hurlbut's maple products, and it sounds like we're going to get to give away a quart of your maple syrup. So thanks so much for joining us on the program.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
You take good care.
Yes.
So it's time to give out some syrup. So let's find Lauren. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Flip.
We ready to roll?
Oh, we're ready. I should have put my name on this clicker wheel here. I love maple syrup.
We're not. Yeah, we're not. That's a little too close for comfort.
All right. Well, some lucky winner is going to get a quart of maple syrup here. So let's see. Billy, congratulations. You
Awesome.
get some delicious maple syrup from Hurlbut's farm.
Yeah, so we'll connect with you directly, Billy. You can depending on where you are, can pick it up here at the farm, or we will mail it to you. But we'll get in contact with you, and congratulations. Thanks, Lauren. Remind us what our next prize is after the following conversation.
Yep, we have a $30 gift certificate to Bare Bones Farm, and you can pick up some of their delicious veggies.
Awesome.
Next season.
Okay, great. Well, we'll see you in a few minutes then. Okay. John and I first met a few years ago, actually, when he trained to be a master gardener volunteer here at Cornell Cooperative Extension. I think it was in 2018 or so, but actually at that point he was already managing a market garden, and it was clear that he was just soaking up information and knowledge and networking and meeting folks from everywhere he could. So I could tell from our first conversation that he was going to be a force in the community, very energetic and excited and really passionate about growing food and engaging with the area. So we better get him in here. I forgot to share this. Let's see. There we go. So I'd love to welcome John Bonaparte of Bare Bones Farms. Hey, John.
Hey, Foot. Hey, thank you for the awesome introduction. Probably the best one I've heard. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I love talking with growers and learning more about what they do. And for you, I did get to visit once a little bit in the season, but we want to let folks know. Let's dive in and tell us about Bare Bones Farm.
All right, so I started Bare Bones Farms last year. I guess I technically was working towards it for the last few years now. I was managing a nonprofit community garden called Stronger Community Garden in Akwesasne, and with COVID happening and everything like that, and with my intentions to start my own farm already, I figured it was time to step out of there and dive into my own project. And yeah, so I started Bare Bones Farms. It's on my mom's property and some of my own land here in Bombay, and we have this past season we did maybe a total of a little over an acre of vegetables grown in total, and at the location at my house we had about a quarter acre, maybe a little less, of really intense gardens that we're turning into permanent bed system with low to minimal tillage to try to be as ecological as we can with our practices. And yeah, so the whole plan behind Bare Bones Farms was kind of like the saying, you can teach a man to fish, or you can give a man a fish, and you can eat for a day, or you can teach them to how to fish, and they can eat continuously. So that was kind of my plan, is working towards growing the next generation of Mohawk farmers. That we primarily serve Akwesasne, and we come from Mohawk people who have long been farmers and land stewards. But there are farms around here, but there's not many market gardens per se, or people that are making a living off of being farmers. And especially we're lacking in people doing it using like organic or ecological practices. So I figured the best way for me to feed future generations is for me to try to learn as much as I can and then share it with other youth and other people that are aspiring to be farmers in the area. So
Yeah,
trying
you
to
had
grow
quite a
more.
few folks. You had quite a few folks with you here this season, and I loved you. Well, you visited Canton area and visited some farms, including our spot at Little Grass. But I really liked how you brought everybody around and they got all of the access and awareness and seeing all of the different parts when you're visiting various farms or places that they got to those interns and folks got to be part of the process.
Yeah, we try to go on like field trips or at least have somebody come to the farm and talk to somebody at least like once a week. Sometimes we didn't at all, or sometimes it was a couple of people in 1 week. But yeah, I think it's really about like getting the as diverse views on agriculture and food businesses as you can and exposing them to that. Not everyone wants to be a farmer, but there's other key roles to play in the food system. So try to share as much as you can through that.
Yeah, so we mentioned just generically that you grow produce, but do you want to talk more about specific crops that you grow or things that you focus on when you're deciding what to grow at Barebone Farms?
Yeah, so we grow. I'd say our main focus is vegetables, primarily things that we can do in a minimal tillage system or permanent bed system. But like we are still in the infancy, so we're gonna keep it so that we can experiment more still. And but primarily like one of our best sellers was spinach, and then we also do a lot of like kale and Swiss chard. We did some root crops like beets, radish, and carrots, and then of course we have tomatoes and peppers, and then yeah, we did a small amount of winter squash this year. Next year we're going to be increasing the amount of winter squash and pumpkins that we do. And then we also did some contract seed growing for a seed company this year. And yeah, and we grow out some of our own Mohawk traditional varieties of beans this year. And next year we'll be adding some traditional varieties of corn to try to repopulate those and we also do we have some chickens and some pigs, but those are more kind of just getting the hang of those, not so much for selling products yet, but yeah, very diverse.
Yes, so as folks, if you can't tell, that when you talk to John, it's this and this and this, and your enthusiasm is definitely shows through. If I understand correctly, you were one of the co-founders of the Akwesasne Farmers Market. Was that in 2019?
Yep, that was actually 2018. No, it was 2019. Yeah, 2019. Yeah, me and another colleague at Stronger's Charitable Foundation and a couple of colleagues from the San Regis Mohawk tribe all came together because we wanted to see a farmers market here in Akwesasne that is like a permanent part of the community and also like a way for people to access or have access to cheap or affordable local food and like products and other crafts and stuff like that, but also for them to be able to accept like or to use FMNP checks and the Fresh Connect checks. There's no, and our closest farmers markets are Messina and Malone, about 20 minutes either direction. So we figured with a population of around 14,000 people, we should be able to have that directly right in the community. And yeah, it's been very successful so far. So we're looking forward to having it keep growing. With hopefully with COVID declining, then we'll see customers increase more and yeah, more vendors. Both keep growing every year. So very optimistic about the future. So.
Yeah, so in addition to the Akwesasne Farmers Market, you also are involved with other collaborations with community groups and organizations. Do you want to share about the cannery and your work there?
Yeah, so I work with Kenny Perkins, who manages it. So we usually call it the cannery, but it was just recently given the official name of the Akwesasne Feed Hub, where it's a farm that has a cannery on it, like a commercial kitchen, and it's owned by the Akwesasne Freedom School. So a lot of the food that we are processing or creating there is a lot of the products that are being sold are going to the Akwesasne Freedom School or the area is also used to allow people to go and can their own goods and things like that from home. So we're right now they're getting ready for a lot of renovations there, where we're going to be turning it into a more of a commercial kitchen type setup with more stainless steel and stuff like that, and better cold storage. And so we can hold workshops there and have more easier access for the community members to come in there. So yeah, trying to kind of model it after like or a similar idea to like what the Harvest Kitchen is, where it's a community space. So
Yeah, you have a very cool space. What I like about your space is just you have the kitchen in the one section, but there's all this openness and the huge tables, and it's so clear that you could have a big group in there, whether you were doing a hands-on activity like apple pressing or you were preparing for a meal or something. It has a very, very open, welcoming feel.
mm-hmm.
But we have just a couple minutes left, but I did want to mention, because this year you were awarded a fellowship opportunity, and I wondered if you would share more about that opportunity.
Yeah, so I had applied for the Braiding Seeds Fellowship that was offered. It was a collaboration between Soulfire Farm and the Federation of Southern Cooperatives, where it was to made for Black and Indigenous farmers that if you applied and were accepted, you received $50,000 stipend, and also able to take part in classes and received essentially a farm advisor. I'm not sure what their title is exactly, but yeah, that's been one of the, aside from just the stipend, the help that I've been able to receive from having an advisor and somebody that can understand the stuff that's going on up in my head has been absolutely amazing. And I'm excited to see how I'm seeing with how it's benefiting my farm, but I'm excited to see how it plays out in the coming years of receiving it and all the lasting effects that happen from getting it.
Yeah, it's great. In addition to the mentorship, that you also have probably that whole cohort of other Black and Indigenous farmers that are also going through these early stages of farming and working out their food business in their own communities.
Yeah, it's been amazing. We're all quite like a family now. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We're all doing a bit different but similar projects, community focused projects that are all right in line with each other, and we all have group messages going on and are all meeting at least monthly or so and able to keep communicating and bounce ideas off each other. And sometimes being in the farming world, it can be a lonely place sometimes. I'm sure as you understand. So,
yeah,
it's
well,
nice
it's
having
easy
other
to,
people
yeah.
that you can talk to.
Yeah, you could go days having your head down and your back bent, just doing work, but you need that relationship with other producers, and it's nice to know that new growers that maybe are kind of reconnecting to that lineage of producing food and being part of land-based businesses and feeding communities, that they have other folks to turn to and have support each other in that process.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's really awesome. Great community to have.
So what would you say if you had any parting wisdom, John, about how our listeners, about how they can become more active participants in their food system or understanding agriculture? What are your thoughts about that?
I think one of the biggest steps is just learning about like a lot of the food that you're eating and knowing where and how it's produced. I think that's a big step in understanding the food system, and then getting involved with like your local agricultural spaces. it is intimidating at first, but once you get used to reaching out to people out of the blue and asking them questions or asking if you can visit and stuff like that, it's a great way to build friendships and learn how to get yourself involved with the food system. I think, yeah, it is tough to reach out, but once you get past those first few times, it gets a lot easier.
Just rip off the Band-Aid. Farmers are friendly, so
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
they have good hearts. Whether they're friendly or not is beside the point.
Yeah.
They have good
Exactly.
intentions.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. If there's anything else you'd like to add, I guess we didn't actually ask you that direct question. So, Generations Park, the Akwesasne Farmers Market, is that the best place during the growing season for people to find Bare Bones Farms items? I never asked you that direct question.
So that we are at mostly every market. We're pretty much there. We're planning on Wednesdays and Saturdays again this year, but we're figuring out the dates. But if you want to follow us on social media like Facebook or Instagram, we are going to be having a mobile stand that is going to be going to probably different locations. There's at least a couple of spots that will be in Akwesasne, but if you follow with us on social media, you'll be able to see where we're set up, and those will probably be for a majority of the day, like probably 6 hours plus. We'll be set up at certain areas and just trying to get it more accessible, and we'll also be selling products for other people as a cooperative stand instead of just bare bones products. So yeah, we'll advertise what the other products are and the other producers that we'll have out there, if you want to stay tuned with that.
Awesome. Well, I imagine you have a busy winter of planning. Don't
yeah.
let the seed catalogs let you go too crazy on the seed budget.
Yeah.
But good luck in your winter planning. Thanks so much for joining us, John.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
All right. So, John has generously donated a $30 gift certificate for produce from Bare Bones Farm. So it sounds like, so that'll actually be next season. This is the only prize we've given out that's just a wait and see, but that's just something to look forward to for next year. So when he's getting started at the farmer's market or his mobile stand, we'll be able to get that gift certificate. So let's find that lucky winner by welcoming Lauren back.
Hey, Flip.
Hey there.
Should we spin the wheel here?
We probably better.
All right. Let's see who's going to win this prize. Second to last prize of the night. Jessica, I believe you are our winner for Bare Bones gift certificate. So congratulations.
Awesome. Jessica will email you with those details, and then remind us for those two prizes left. Lauren, what are they after our last conversation?
Right, two prizes left. We have a $25 gift certificate to Hoof and Horn Butchery and Eatery in Potsdam. And then we have a very special prize from the Extension Learning Farm. We have a nice pack of postcards to give away that feature our local producers and businesses in St. Lawrence County.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'll see you in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so our next guest and I actually went to the same school, but we were a few years apart, so we didn't really cross paths at that time. But in recent times, I first heard of John, actually a coworker here in the ag department mentioned that her neighbor was a chef and had recently returned to Northern New York and was eager to get cooking with the seasonal ingredients of the region. And then a few months later, we met here at the Learning Farm. He came over and he got to see the Harvest Kitchen, and we had the most lovely, beautiful plans about offering in-person interactive classes celebrating local food as part of our Celebrating Local Food series. And you all know what happened in 2021 or didn't. So we'll fast forward to 2020, and then in 2021, John's name popped up again. And this time, his family was digging in to create their own business, and they have done that. They've worked hard all year, and Hoof and Horn Butcher and Eatery just opened this month in downtown Potsdam. So when I visit the store, it's very clear hearing from John that his enthusiasm about the ingredients of this region and this state, and just working with whole foods is a great passion for him, and it kind of bubbles up from every sentence. So let's get him in here. We'll welcome Jon LeClair so we can learn more about Hoof and Horn Butcher and Eatery.
Hey, Flip, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, John?
Oh, pretty good. Just sitting here in the shop.
I remember when I asked you to be if you want to be featured in the December showcase, and it was like when I learned that you were able to do the opening, and it would be like a week after you opened. In my mind, I was like, he's going to say yes because it's probably nice to have the publicity, but he's going to be like, why did I say yes? I've been working nonstop. How is the first whirlwind of a couple of weeks? How has it been?
Well, we're headed into week 2 right now. It's been pretty good. A lot of people still don't realize we're here yet, and they still don't realize that we're open. I mean, I've talked to people all the time and have people come through the door constantly that are like, when did you open? I say, a week ago or whatever, the day is. But so far, we're being really well received by the community. And, one big thing is I don't think people realize that we're doing a lot of lunches and prepared lunches and grab and go items. So they come in thinking it's just a butcher shop, but it's a lot more than just a butcher shop.
Well, tell us about it.
So at Hoof and Horn Butcher and Eatery, you can find all your raw cuts. We try to focus as much on local and regional farms as possible. We kind of start right close to Potsdam, and then we work our way out from there. Because, the way the food chain is right now, and with slaughterhouses and everything, I can only get so many things at one time. So that's one of the challenges that I'm having right now. This is a completely different business than I've ever done. I've always just been a chef. And I've worked with a lot of local farms when I was out in the Finger Lakes, but this is like a whole nother level of things that I'm trying to accomplish. So once you come in, we've got our display case that has all our raw cuts in it. And you'll find, I try to have some staples like New York strips and ribeyes when possible. But you'll find some different cuts like the picanhas, sirloin steaks. I do a lot of beef tips, and we do several different kinds of house-made sausages. I think the list has grown to about 70 different ideas. And almost every day we have 3 different kinds in the case, just to keep it kind of fresh. Eventually I'd like to have 4 or 5 with, 1 or 2 that are in there all the time, just because people like them.
Tell us about, I have a soft spot for fresh sausage. So tell us some of your favorites or what's in the case right now.
We have a steak à poivre inspired sausage where I actually took and made à poivre sauce and reduced it down with brandy, cream from New York, peppercorns, and then we fold that right into our grind, which is a 50-50 blend of beef and pork. We also have a New York State duck sausage, which has apricots and thyme in it. And we're doing one tomorrow that's New York State pear and brown butter breakfast sausage. So I try to have 2 savory and 1 sweet to kind of hit every day, every meal of the day. So.
Yeah, when I was in there, I saw an herbaceous herb, and that one certainly caught my eye.
Yeah, that was a really good seller. We had a French onion one that actually had 3 different kinds of cheese in it, caramelized onions, red wine, demi-glace that we made in-house. So the big thing with us is we're trying to utilize every part of an animal that we can. So we have bone broth, we have soups, we have sandwiches. We're not against vegans or vegetarians, so we do have salads and roasted vegetable wraps. And then we do things like pate and whatever else you can even imagine.
So there's a few parts of your business. So we talked about the display case. You mentioned lunches. So you do lunches, is that like Wednesday to Saturday or so? Is that right?
Wednesday to Saturday. We're open 10 to 4. We do lunches. We've got it set up to be kind of COVID friendly, where a lot of things, I mean, everything's made fresh, but we kind of pre-package it for you. So if you don't feel comfortable staying and eating, you can grab it and head home or head to the office or wherever you're going. And that way, you know, kind of our space is small. And I think right now I've got, I don't know, maybe 12 seats available. So, you know, once we start getting busy, it's tough to keep everybody seated during the lunch service. But on Sundays, we just started doing brunches, and that I do kind of rearrange things and create a little bit more seating. And that's a limited menu, a lot of Benedicts, because I think brunch should be pretty bougie. To be honest, I've always thought, you know, brunch is sparkling wine, mimosas, and eggs Benedict and everything else. So we have all the bases covered there. And
that's why I haven't eaten very many brunches, what you're saying, but it does sound very nice when you're mentioning it.
Well, and on those, we're trying to utilize as many local eggs as we can. I make our lox in-house, and I try to, I brought in some salmon from New York right there. I'm bringing in some steelhead trout from the Hudson Valley area. That salmon there is from the Finger Lakes. I take pork loin, I cure that, and I put a light smoke on it to create kind of like a traditional Canadian style bacon. And then, we do get a little wild. We take some and make some crab cakes. I know that's not local, but I like them. I think anybody who likes crab cake is going to like our crab cake Benedict for sure.
So you mentioned the brunches on Sunday, but then there's still more. You also mentioned, I think, the pop-up dinners.
So we're hoping starting at some point in January, we're going to be offering dinners on Saturday nights. It'll be 3 to 5 courses, fixed price. We can seat about 20 at a time, so the seating will be limited. There'll be a 5:30 seating and probably about a 7 or 7:15 seating. And our menus will come out a week or two in advance, so you can kind of see what we're offering for each course. And those we're trying to stay, almost hyper local as we can and really celebrate the farms of the area. It might get a little different sometimes when I bring in seafood, but we're going to try to do as much local as we can on those. And those will be, it's going to be higher end food. Those potatoes I actually grew myself. We do have our own garden going on that keeps growing every year. So I'm trying to supply as much, as I can from our own gardens and what I can get locally as possible. And so I made actually an apiece sauce for that. And that was a seared sirloin with local onions, local potatoes. So, you're going to get to really experience some super nice food at a very reasonable price. And once we get our beer and wine license, we're going to offer pairings, wine by the glass, wine by the bottle, cider, everything. And really, when you come in for your night out, for your date night or anniversary or whatever, we want to make it special for you because we want you to come in and enjoy yourself.
Excellent. Yeah. So I don't know if this is really a separate thing, but I did just want to mention it because it seemed like you were taking orders for it. You also have quite a few different New York State meats and cheeses.
Oh yeah, we've got a pretty wicked cheese and charcuterie program going right now. All of our cheeses are coming from New York. Currently, our charcuterie is coming from Brooklyn, from a small purveyor there. Really nice stuff. Our breads, we're starting to get most of them from the Carriage House here in Potsdam. And there's dried fruits on it. There's pickled items. We're going to start doing our own pickling program. And then once I get the proper paperwork, we'll start doing our own charcuterie to kind of supplement the stuff that we're getting from Brooklyn. And
folks can order those boards if they want to go for an event or a party?
Yeah, of course. We have some in our grab and go cooler that'll feed 2 to 3 people. But if you call us or send us a message, we can arrange boards for all sorts of different size parties. I've got several for the holidays right now that are ranging from 8 to 20 people. And we will start packaging them. We have boxes right now, large boxes, but we will start packaging them on biodegradable wood boards that people can take, and it'll look really nice. So it's going to be all set up for you, unless you want to set it up yourself. We'll have it set up and arranged nicely to have all the dried fruits, pickled items, the cheeses, the charcuterie, breads, crackers, everything. And I think it's a really popular thing right now. And I mean, who really doesn't like snacking on cheese and salami?
Yeah, I had a taste last week, and I actually wish I'd asked you what the cheeses were, because there was a really dry, kind of flaky one that seemed like a manchego-ish like one to me, but I thought it tasted awesome.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. We change them so often. I think that was called the Burlberg, which comes from the Burl family farm. I can't remember where it is. I know it's in New York because that's all we use is New York cheese.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Yeah, we've got some really great products right now that I mean, we try to give, even if people are just kind of hanging out waiting for, a panini or whatever to come out of the kitchen. Oftentimes we bring it over and say, hey, you want to try this blue cheese that comes from Lively Run or, wherever.
Yeah, so you've kind of touched around the edges of it a little bit, but I guess I'm curious, like what in your past experience, what skills and experience are you bringing into this new venture at Hoof and Horn?
So for years, I was working professionally as a cook and a chef in the Adirondack region, and then my family and I moved out to the Finger Lakes, where I was a chef of a large restaurant and banquet center and wine center that had a huge focus on farm to table. We would bring in whole lambs and all sorts of stuff that I would break down in-house. And I also taught culinary arts for a community college out there. And I've always grown up as a hunter as well. So I've, filleting fish and breaking down deer and whatever else we might get that year has always just been part of my life. So to bring in, it's a little more daunting to bring in half a cow, obviously. But I've just, I've had experience raising my own pigs and everything else. And I just really like the tactile, tangible thing that comes with cooking, and, really like to get into the roots of it and watch that animal turn into something that's just beautiful.
Yeah, I think something I really like about places that actually have butcher cases and have a butcher there is there's someone right there on hand that you can learn more about parts and understand how animals are broken down, what are like equivalent cuts, and just understand more of that aspect versus just grabbing it out of a freezer or just sort of that faceless. Being able to go to a butcher case and actually talk to someone that broke it down is pretty cool. We talked about that briefly about folks, the opportunity to educate folks and be like, well, there's this, but you also could try this, which is an equivalent, and we'll have a great preparation.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge problem right now that we face with the food chain is people have become so detached from everything, and there's so many different cuts that are really, really enjoyable off an animal, and all of it should be celebrated. And I have a lot of times I have people coming in, they're surprised that I have filet mignon or tenderloin all the time. And it's like, well, I get what I can, and the holidays are a little bit different, so I can kind of source from other places, but I'm not always going to have it. I mean, there's only 2 small loins off on an entire animal, so, but I always try to have something that's either equivalent or a better option or whatever. Cause I mean, even filet mignon, although it's inexpensive, lavish cut, it really doesn't have that much flavor. And for me, the only enjoyable way for me to eat it personally is if it's in a tartare or something, like some application like that.
So what would be in that opportunity? Like, what would you say, or if someone wanted to consider, you want someone to consider a different cut or understand some equivalent cuts, what would you say?
Well, right now we have in some shoulder tenders, which actually come from the chuck region of a cow, and which is, I mean, typically it's a more tough cut, the chuck area itself, but there's a small portion of it which is like really nice. It's lean, but it's very tender despite where it's coming from. And it can be roasted whole, or it can be sliced. It can be done in all the same preparations as a filet mignon, but it has more flavor. It's not as tender, but it's still very tender. You know, and then when I break down a sirloin, I get several different portions off a sirloin, and there's even a portion on the sirloin which comes out looking very similar to a filet mignon and tasting better, and it's also super tender. Mm-hmm. And usually we have, you know, something like that in stock or in house, and if I don't have it, it's something like I might be able to special order it, or I might have it downstairs and it's just not in the case, and we're more than happy to kind of hook people up with whatever they're looking for.
This might be like a bit of a curveball question, but I know you've talked about sourcing in this area and then beyond in New York State or the Northeast, et cetera. But are there any products that you would be looking for that you really wish that you could source from closer, but haven't really found that connection yet?
It's just right now it's just really tough because I'm finding I've talked to, I don't know, 60, 70 different farms across New York, most of them local. Because all I need is that USDA stamp. So as long as I can get them to take it to a USDA processing facility, I can get it. But we only have 2 major slaughterhouses in the area, one in Krogan, one out towards Brushton, and they, you know, they're the only ones that you do USDA. And to get in there and get scheduled, like we heard from Hurlbuts and whatever, it's difficult. You know, and right now I've got farmers texting me, you know, I've got a pig going in, do you want a half? Or I've got a beef going in, do you want a half? Because it's available. And I usually say yes. But, you know, I've had 2 lambs that have been waiting to get in for months. And at this point, you know, I want to support the farmer, and they're larger than I had originally anticipated. Of course, we opened later than I wanted to too, but I'm still going to buy them, and I'm just going to have to use them a little bit differently and kind of market it in a different way. But as far as bringing stuff in that I'm looking for, I mean, I'm always looking for everything. Goat is a huge one that I can't find locally. I've got somebody out in the Finger Lakes that I can get it from, but I'm having a hard time finding anybody with goat, and I've had several people ask for it. Mm-hmm. Lambs are a tough one just because most people, you know, they breed them to birth in the spring for spring lambs. There's not a lot of farms doing spring and fall lambs. And then, you know, being able to get them in, that's the biggest challenge right now, is just getting stuff in.
Yeah, definitely. The bottlenecks of processing is pretty considerable, but I think that's just a good reminder for any listener that there is an immense value in sort of making those connections and the effort for supporting your local food system. But there's imperfections in it, not in the quality, but in the way that the process goes from beginning to end. And so having that patience and saying, okay, well, you don't have this cut, but I'll take that, or sure, I could wait, et cetera. I think that kind of patience and understanding is really essential. Yeah,
it's huge. I've had a few people ask me for rabbits. Like I had somebody come in today, and I don't always have rabbit. It's expensive for me to get, but I don't mind. But usually if I do get it, it's probably going to be utilized in a way that makes it a little more added value. And it's just, you know, getting people to understand that has been probably one of our biggest challenges.
Mm-hmm. We've only got a minute or so left. Is there anything you want to add about Hoof and Horn that you'd like people to know?
You know, spread the word. We're here. We're doing our thing. We've got some really cool products. We've got amazing sausages, awesome lunch, Brunches killer, and when we start doing the dinners, it's going to be a whole different level.
Yeah, so it sounds like lunch, just walk in anytime, 10 to 4, Wednesday to Saturday, but you'll do reservation for a brunch, you'll do a reservation for the pop-up, and then you'll pre-order any bigger charcuterie cheese boards.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Okay. Yeah, and you know, and on top of that, like for the holidays, our cutoff is probably Friday, big roasts and stuff like that. And I usually, if I don't have it, I try to, like we were talking about a minute ago, I'll try to sell you something else that's comparable.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, cool. So definitely check Hoof and Horn out online. I popped those up. They have the Instagram and the Facebook, and you can message, and John is very responsive on both of those. Anything else before we let you go, John?
Happy holidays. We look forward to everybody coming in.
Awesome. Well, we're about to give out a gift certificate, so thank you so much for donating that.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care. Okay, well, we're down to gift time. We're down to prize time. We've got 2 prizes, as we mentioned. And so I think we'll do the gift certificate right away, and then we'll do the custom gift card set right after that. So let's find Lauren. Hey there. Hey there.
Well, if I wasn't hungry before, I'm definitely hungry now. So
Yeah, definitely. Let's find out who's going to win this $25 gift certificate.
let's spin the wheel. And looks like Sean, you are the winner of the $25 gift certificate to Hoof and Horn.
Awesome. And then we have one more. I was gonna, oh, my thing is acting up. So then the last gift, if you've attended any of our other programs, throughout 2018 to 2021, we went to farms across northern New York and took professional photographs. You saw some of them in John's interview just now, and we call it the Farm to Table Initiative, and we still do it for new businesses that are coming online here in the area that are selling direct to producers. So we made a set of 24 farm to table greeting cards that are blank inside, and so we're going to give out one of those to celebrate the farms and food businesses of our region. My thing is slightly acting up. That's why I'm not always this slow. It's just cursor's being so crazy. I mean, I'm trying to change this, but
I can spin the wheel here.
you can spin the wheel. Yeah, spin the wheel.
I'll spin the wheel. You'll just have to trust me. And it looks like Linda D is our winner for the postcards.
Awesome. Yeah, congratulations, Linda. So you won the set of 24 custom farm to table images all across St. Lawrence County to celebrate local food. So we just want to thank you all for tuning in for our December Fruition Local Food Showcase. As we mentioned, we've been doing it since May, but we really mean it when we say reach out. Let us know what you thought of this program. We don't have any future programs already planned. We decided to do them once a month for the year, for the growing season, and just see how it felt, see how it was for people to interact with it. Were they learning things about new businesses or make new connections or understand the food system more meaningfully? So if you feel like it made a difference or there was something cool that you got out of it, we'd love to hear it. Is it a good way to advocate more awareness for the farmers and food producers of our region? So keep in touch about that. And then otherwise, yeah, we wish you a safe and healthy winter, and reach out anytime. You've signed up for the Fruition blog. So we have new content on the blog about farming, gardening, homesteading all the time. And then you can always find us on our website at stlawrence.ccecornell.edu. So from everybody at the Ag and Food Systems Department here at the Extension Learning Farm, we appreciate you, and you're welcome to reach out anytime. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for joining.
There we go. We need Fruition. Mackenzie, to be fair, I think if we had given out an award for like the groupie of the Fruition Local Food Showcase, I think Mackenzie, it would be you actually. So I really appreciate
number one fan
about that. Awesome. Excellent. Take care, everybody.